Sierra 4.0 has a few features that allow a clinician to acquire good electrodiagnostic results with less stimulations. To set this up, go into Edit, Test Protocols, NCS Plus, and then I'm going to use an existing test called a combination test, and I'm going to use the combination test median with F. In this test, I'm going to add a site, and this site is going to be a sensory site, median risk to digit 1, and we'll do digit 2 here. And then I'm going to make this a multi-channel test, and this second site, we're going to uncheck the default under the amplifier settings and use channel 2. So we'll use the sensory electrodes in channel 2 and the motor electrodes in channel 1. And then for the F wave, I'm going to go into additional settings, uncheck default, and change inherit M from disabled to all traces. You can also use selected trace, or if normal F latency, or if normal F and M latency as an option, but I'm going to use all traces. And then I'm going to rename this test. We'll just call this pediatric. Median motor sensory F. And then we'll hit OK. And then we'll start a new study to try this out. Go to the nerves list. Find it in our list of nerves here. I can also filter by anatomical region or by nerve, and then just find the combo test that I just set up. Here's my pediatric median motor sensory and F. And then for the electrodes, in channel 1 I'm using motor electrodes, and I'm sticking them just on the APV. And then in channel 2 I'm using ring electrodes, and I'm going to measure down from the active motor electrode. I'm going to measure down your typical distance, whatever that is, probably 8 centimeters, and then measure up from those 8 centimeters up to the first digit or second digit to 14 centimeters, and that's where I'll place my active ring electrode. That allows me to use one stimulation and acquire both sites at the right distance. So we can see here when I stimulate, I have 2 channels activated, so I'm going to get a response for both the median wrist, or the motor wrist, and the sensory wrist. And we're going to start low and just slowly increase our stimulation until we get a response. Once we have a super maximal response, you can see now we've required, with that many stimulations, we've acquired both motor, sensory, and when we go to the F wave, it's copied the trace history from the motor responses down to the F wave, so we've also collected a bunch of F waves. We can continue stimulating if we want more F waves, but you can see there in the amount of time and stimulations that it took to get a motor response, we were able to also get a sensory response and F responses. If you want to, you can then hit store and move on to the elbow, and then continue with your examination with the elbow response. And now you've completed the motor, sensory, and F wave of the median nerve in much fewer stimulations than it would have taken otherwise.